Ladies and gentlemen of Knucklehead Nation, welcome to the Fighters Rep Podcast, episode 73. I am your host, the inimitable Fighters Rep Fizz, joined and flanked by none other than the unstoppable, the terror, the nightmare of Richmond Heights, Miami, Florida. Ignorant behavior. Gary, how you doing, brother?
I'm good. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I didn't get you last week, so we got a lot to talk about, man.
Yeah, that was my bad, but yeah, I got you.
No, you're good. You're good. I see you're running a little bit low rather on printer ink for that beard, and you're joining the squad.
I knew you was gonna say something. Yeah, I ain't got my little Beijing, my dad, men's for the men.
Yo, and then we got Fighter Fly Boxing here, says, yo, appreciate you joining us, man. Guys, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, join the channel. We got 3 different levels now, Gary. We got soldiers, we got capos, and we got underbosses. And this has become a boxing fraternity where, Gary, wherever we need to help each other, we will help. If it's business, if it's finances, if it's talking about the fights, if it's emotional support, we are here for you, Knucklehead Nation. So feel free to reach out for us. We are the ultimate boxing fraternity, and it's the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth right here at Fighters Rep. Gary,
yeah.
What I wanted to talk about today was something I've been thinking about for a long time, especially with all the gravy the big Turk is pouring upon the boxing world, right? I'm talking about Turki Alalshikh. Gary, what is the final plan for this guy, Gary, right? Because what got me thinking about this was, it looks like they've now shifted gears from working with all the promoters to creating this, what looks to be a league, right? And having Dana White be the guy who's assigned to run this league. We're going to call it TKO, Gary, because that's what all the kids
that's what they.
Yeah, we got to call it what the kids are calling it, TKO. It's a great name, by the way. It's a great name. But what's the end game for this guy, Gary? I mean, he just came in here with all this money, throwing money all over the place, and now he's decided, you know what? I'm just going to let Dana White build this thing. We're going to get away from the sanctioning body belts. We're going to run our own league. It's going to be a UFC of boxing. And people have had a lot of opinions about that, Gary. What do you think is Turki Alalshikh's final plan in doing all this? Just wanted some of your thoughts about this whole situation.
My personal opinion is that he's a billionaire. He's not doing it to make money. He's like crazy rich. He's not doing it to make money.
Yeah.
Because if you wanted to invest in something to make money, you would probably go to the NFL or some leagues like that. You would probably try to do that. He's a fan. He's a fight fan. Yeah. And he wants to make the best fights happen. And, he's starting to get into the minutia of boxing and is getting too much for him because he's getting aggravated with it. So he's like, yo, let me get somebody. He knows Dana White, and you do UFC and you have to deal with fighters. You have to deal with this. Let me get somebody in here who knows how to deal with these fighters. I really do not think he had any plans on let me make money. I got enough money. I'm not trying to make money. I just want to see certain things happen the way I want it to happen and see how things pan out in that way. And that's what he's doing. Like Dana White, on the other hand, when Dana White is in charge and he's taking over, he's going to see a different view.
Yeah.
And I think the whole setup, the whole fight league is good for boxing fans. I don't know if it's necessarily good for the boxers. Because of the fact,
with all the money that this guy's injected into the sport.
Now, right now, as of right now, you got to look at future. As of right now, But what happens when people start saying, well, we're not getting return on our investment? I don't want to pay you this much because I ain't making as much.
Yeah.
Because that's what the other promoters in boxing did. And the other promoters in boxing, before Turki Alalshikh came around, they were like, well, I'm not really getting this type of return on my investment. Why would I invest this? Turki Alalshikh has been losing money doing these fights.
Yeah.
But he's able to do that because he don't give a fuck. When you're stupid rich, it's like, honestly, like, no, like, if you look at basketball, it's certain owners that don't make money off of the teams.
Yeah.
In basketball, this is a hobby for them. A
Yeah.
hobby. They have so much money, they can, it's a toy for them. But what happens when you're no longer a toy for me? Or Turki Alalshikh goes by the wayside, and the
Yeah.
other people step in and be like, "This ain't a toy for us. We want to make money off of it."
But Gary, is it a toy former? Is he trying to build a business here? I mean, it seems like TKO is going to have his financial backing. It's going to have Saudi Arabia's financial back. I mean, I don't even think it's his money. I think it's the Saudi government.
It's yeah. He got multiple people working with him. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, no, I was saying he has multiple people. Go ahead though.
Well, I was saying I think it's the Saudi government's money. And it's an interesting take that you have. You know, it's just like a hobby for him, but you're saying it may go away now that he's kind of handed it off to Dana White to manage. But isn't he still the financial backer? So I mean, why would it go away? Why would it not be good for the boxers? Is what I'm trying to understand.
I'm saying in the right now it's good for them. But what happens years later, 5, 10 years down the road, when he steps away from it and somebody else is stepping in more so as the financial backer and they want to see a return on their investment? Because he's not getting a return on his investment that he's doing. He's paying these fighters crazy amounts of money, and he's not really receiving that return.
Wouldn't he just be the agent of the Saudi government that's doing this? I mean, wouldn't it ultimately be up to the king or whoever's in charge here?
I mean, yeah, but obviously he has some influence. He has some power. So I'm just saying it could be a dangerous spot to put into boxers who now have multiple promoters, multiple options to go to. Like when you go to MMA, it's UFC or nothing. You had Bellator, you had all these other places, they failed. PFL is now, I think, out there, but you're not getting that money that you're getting from UFC, and you're not fighting the caliber fighters that people want to see you fight with Bellator or all these other leagues that came and went with UFC. So basically, you're pigeonholed to do whatever Dana White tells you, whatever he offers you is what you got to take. Boxing, the reason that a lot of boxers are pushing back against it because they have multiple promoters. They can pin them against each other and they can say, I want this or that. But once you create a league, and obviously Turki Alalshikh has the money to, and I'm not hating on the boxers for doing it either. If you call me $70 million and fight, so I sign a contract, how much I got to sign for? I'm going to sign it. And once he gets all the best boxers, then now I control everything. And I know how Dana White thinks. Yeah. Dana White is more so like, hey, you either fight here, you don't fight here. But guess what? I got all the best boxers signed to a 4 or 5 year contract. And if you don't fight with this, you can't fight none of our boxers. Yeah. You can't make that money that you want to make.
Well, that's kind of been the current landscape too, though, kind of, right? I mean, a lot of these promotions, there's no cross-promotional fights. I mean, we saw how long it took to get Terrence Crawford to an opportunity to fight Errol Spence or guys at PBC. So, you know, I think the culture is already that way. I just think Dana White has done so much better of a job than everybody else in MMA that he is the kind of the only show in town at the top. I think boxing, because it's been around so much longer, there's a lot more other shows at the top, but they're still very possessive, right? Territorial about their guys. I think just the difference is Turkey's got so much money, he might be able to lure some of these guys away. And the thing is, Gary, a lot of them are the major fighters are going to be under a promotional contract, so they're not going to be able to leave it even if they want to. You know, someone's going to have to negotiate a deal that works where they can compete in that league and also compete outside of that league. But like you said,
Dana don't do that.
Yeah,
Dana don't do that.
George. Yeah, it might be tough. Might be tough.
Dana don't do that. And Dana is pretty much you're either in or you're out. And if
Yeah.
you're in our league, you're under our restrictions. And if you do ever fight outside of our league, we have to get a major cut of it. Because remember
Some
when
of
Conor
this,
McGregor fought? Go ahead.
some of this is to build tourism in Saudi, says Fight or Flight Boxing. And the Las Vegas to the Middle East, hard to do without booze. I like this point about some of this is to build tourism in boxing. I think, or in Saudi.
Saudi, yeah.
I think that's one of the major reasons they're doing it. But so my opinion would differ from yours, which is not unusual, Gary. My opinion would differ a little bit from
All right,
you.
Skip Bayless.
It would differ a little bit from you. And it would, I would agree with some of this, what Fight or Flight is saying, some of this to build tourism in Saudi. I do think it's to build tourism in Saudi. We saw them get deep and buy a lot of the golf, the PGA stuff. We've seen them dip their hands into sports, soccer especially, which is, the world.
Yeah, they're very much in soccer.
They're very much in that. That's right. And where I think I differ is I don't think that Turki Alalshikh doesn't care about losing money. I think what's happening here is I think initially the initial investment, he was okay to burn some money because, it's not always true, but sometimes you do have to spend money to make money sometimes. And this may be one of those situations, right? The only way you're going to make these big fights happen is to overpay for them. I think he's overpaid for them.
Definitely he's overpaid.
Yeah. I think at this point now, he's starting to look at establishing a business that's solvent because he has to. And this is my opinion, right? The Saudis, just like the Emirates, the United Arab Emirates, Dubai and Abu Dhabi and these places, they understand that the source of the money is the oil, and it's going to run out at some point. That oil, that black gold, Gary, that gravy underneath the ground is going to run out at some point. And that's why they've been doing this hyper investment for so long, trying to add these tourist attractions, trying to attract people to the desert of the Middle East and trying to make people think of it as something other than just oil and sand and desert and camels. You know what I mean? They want people to think these are destinations to come hang out and party and watch sports and soccer and golf and boxing. At some point, Gary, it's no longer a toy. It's going to have to turn a profit. It's going to have to turn a profit. And I think that this is the second step, right? The first step was the investment coming in, making big noise. The second step is, okay, we're establishing this league now. Dana White knows how to make money out of this industry. We're going to put him as the manager, right, of the gas station. We're going to put him as the manager, and he's going to have to create money for us. I don't think Saudi Arabia is going to be okay continuing to burn money on.
Well, that's to my point, though, George. That's to my point is that I think that the government of the Saudi government, and they appointed him to some position, didn't they?
Yeah, he's the head of
something I forgot.
The GSA, something authority.
So
I'll look
they
it
appointed him to this position. I think Turk is just really a big fan of the fight game.
Well, look, Turki is the minister and current chairman of the General Entertainment Authority in Saudi Arabia, Gary. And he's I'll analogize him. This will be a fun analogy for you.
All right, go ahead.
Analogize him to Jay Prince, who also got involved with boxing, right? Remember Jay Prince?
He still is involved.
He's still. So Turki, I know Turki from before. Even my family knows Turki from before because he's famous in the Arab world for his involvement in the music industry.
Yeah.
He was involved in the music industry. So he's just kind of I'll let you continue, but he's just kind of the guy who runs the entertainment authority in the country, and he's looking to bring in whatever entertainment into the country. And I think it's to turn a profit. I mean, they can't keep burning money.
I mean, I agree with you in the sense that I think I think the government wants to create tourism, just like Fight or Flight says. And like how you're saying, the government wants to create interest in coming over there.
Because it generates revenue.
Yeah, it generates revenue. But I think personally, Turkey himself, he's just a fan. As he's been saying, I'm a fan of this and that, and I like this. And like I said, Miami Heat owner, Mickey, what is his name? Mickey,
I'm ashamed. I don't know. I don't even know the guy's name.
It's Mickey something, Mickey Erickson or something like that. I forgot. The owns the Miami Heat. They've been saying he's been losing money he's not making money off the Heat.
Mickey Erickson, yeah.
Yeah, Mickey Erickson. So I was correct. Like, he's been losing money off the Heat for a long time. When he did the whole LeBron, D-Wade, Bosh thing, he wasn't making money like that. You know what I mean? Because he was paying them all so much money, and he was. So you get people who are fans, and even you get the ex-CEO of Microsoft, I think, that owns the Clippers now. He's $70 billion in. He's just spending money now on the Clippers, and not all of the NBA owners. It's not like the NFL. Every NFL owner is making money. NBA, not every NBA owner is making money. Some of them are losing money, and some of them, that's why they don't want to pay the super cap or whatever it's called or whatever. And, they're not making money off of it. This is just a hobby for them. So I feel like Turk is a hobby for them, but for the government of Saudi, it's not a hobby. They're trying to figure out how to bring people in. So that, to my point of what you're saying is, they're not going to keep burning money. So all you guys can keep going over there and signing contracts, thinking you're going to keep getting all this crazy money. Eventually, it's going to cap. It's going to stop. And the government is going to be like, yo, we're not going to keep paying. We got to get something back in return. If the tourism doesn't, like you said, they don't got booze over there. If the tourism doesn't keep up and we're not making a profit off of this, we're going to pull back on this, because I know he has other investors besides him that they said investing in this league in Saudi. So eventually it's going to pull back. And then what happens when it pulls back and you have a contract with this league for four or five fights? Yeah, you're stuck until you get out of the contract.
Yeah.
But it's good for me. I'm being selfish. I want to see all of that. Do what you do, man.
Fight or Flight says 105-mile-long city will snake through the Saudi desert. I think it's called Neom. That's the name of the project that they're building in Saudi. They're going to try to compete with Dubai and all these other major cities popping up over there. It's going to be a massive entertainment and economic area. And I think that's what he's talking about. He says Matchroom spent a lot of money in the beginning of DAZN. Remember, yes, and they tapped him for this position because he likes boxing. But at the end of the day, they must turn a profit. I definitely agree with that. I do think they're going to have to turn a profit soon. I think he picked Dana White because he feels like, Dana White's done things in MMA that nobody else has been able to do. And I would argue Dana White's probably the best promoter on earth right now, Gary. I mean, who's bigger and better than Dana White right now, Gary? There's nobody.
I mean that's tough to say. I mean, he started something. Don't get me wrong. He's
Money
up there.
Talks, man. Money talks,
no. Don't get me wrong. He's in the Hall of Fame, and he made MMA a sport so big. It's different than what the boxing promoters are going through right now. Like, he came in and he made MMA big. Yeah. These boxing promoters didn't make boxing big. Right. Boxing was big way back before all these promoters, and then you just had promoters jumping in. And Dana White literally took a sport and made it big.
He's outdoing them with a new sport.
He's not really outdoing them. They're not making that money.
I think he's outdoing them.
No, that's exaggeration. He's not making the money that they're making.
Gary, what promoter is worth more than Dana White? He's worth more than all of them.
No. He's worth more. Not all of them. Mayweather's worth more than Dana White.
I don't think so.
Look at the numbers. Yes, he is.
No, I
Yes,
don't.
he is. Look at the numbers. He is. Mayweather has a bigger net worth than Dana White. Don't do that now.
Rumored to be $500 million. I'm seeing online. That's what Dana White
That's
is.
for Dana White. Yeah, Dana White is $500 million.
Well, so is
Obviously, he's going to
Mayweather.
get this money.
So is Mayweather. But Mayweather's not really a promoter.
He does. He was promoting Tank. He had Hitchens. He had Tank. Now
Hey,
a lot of
bro.
people left Mayweather after he stopped.
Gary, Mayweather made his money fighting, not promoting.
Yeah, but he had a
More of
promotional.
his money was made fighting.
Okay, then, but I'm saying you got to look at it with Dana White. Dana White pretty much made MMA popular.
Yeah.
Most of these promoters didn't make boxing popular. Boxing was popular way back then. So
all you're saying is they were unable to do what Dana did with a sport that's much more popular. That's what you're saying.
No. They couldn't because it was already popular when they got in the game. Like
Gary,
you used to praise Eddie Hearn. Wait, hold on. You thought Eddie Hearn was the best?
I think Eddie Hearn's the best boxing promoter.
Yeah,
but I think as far as overall promoters, I think Dana White's the best, man.
Well, I'm saying you got to
whether you like him or not, whether I like him or not as a person.
No, I like Dana White.
I like him.
I like Dana White.
But I think he's the best. I think he smokes all the boxing.
No. Don't get this twisted. I like Dana White. I like Dana White as a promoter, as I even think he's a cool guy. You know what I'm saying? I like Dana White. Yeah. I'm a fan of Dana White.
Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with that. I'm just saying when you come into something differently, like Jerry Jones has the biggest sports franchise out of any sports franchise out there.
Yeah.
Jerry Jones. Because he came in with an idea that nobody else had, and he came in and it exploded the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, football was around and popular already, though.
No, Dallas Cowboys weren't popular when he got them.
They
had been popular, but they died down.
But football was, Gary.
Football was not the number one sport. Baseball was.
Well, but that's fine. But my
baseball was the number one sport at that time. When Jerry Jones got the Dallas Cowboys, football was not the number one sport. And nobody in football had their own marketing plans. Now, Jerry Jones was a genius at that point. Now everybody look at Jerry Jones and they say, well, he doesn't know what he's doing.
Gary, Dana White is running laps around these boxing promoters, bro. I'm sorry.
Because he controls all of MMA. Boxing promoters don't control.
That's because
what Turkey's finna do right now is gonna be different.
Yeah. But I don't think it's gonna be
all the best fighters.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be as easy because you have so many established promoters in boxing, right? It's been around a long time. You got Golden Boy, you got Matchroom, you got Top Rank. You got PBC, you got, a bunch of different boxing promotions.
It's not going to be as easy, but it's going to be easy. Because when the back and the money, because all these fighters, you seen when he flew all those fighters over there?
Yeah.
He had all the top fighters fly over there to get his money.
Yeah.
Look at all the fighters that have agreed to. Canelo, the biggest fighter in boxing, agreed to a 4-fight deal with him?
Yeah.
You got Canelo, you had AJ over there. You had Tyson Fury over there, Usyk over there. You had all the top boxers. He's already showing you the boxers because the boxers are so thirsty. Only one he doesn't have is Gervonta Tank Davis. He don't have him over there. Yeah. I mean, Shakur Stevenson's with Eddie Hearns, and Eddie Hearns is in cahoots with Turkey. He's already grabbing up all the top talent. So it's not going to be hard to, once I lock all these people in for about a 4 to 5 year, all the boxers who not with me can't get these big fights.
Yeah. And what's his name? Fight or Flight says UFC is not doing too well these days. I'm going to have to disagree strongly on that one, Fight or Flight. I mean, these guys are selling out like every show. They're setting records at these different arenas they go to, not just in the United States either, Gary. It seems like anywhere they go, it's like it's a zoo, man. Anywhere these people go, it's a zoo, man. I kind of, man, I think they're doing a fantastic job. I think he did if you're running a business, he did the right thing putting Dana White in there, because Dana White will generate the money and do what he has to do. I just think it's going to be a little bit difficult for Dana to, maybe convince some of these fighters to stay in his league if they want to fight for those other belts. But, I think because what I'm hearing, Gary, is that he wants to have his own ranking system, that he wants to have one belt per division. That means, WBC, WBA, all these
Now,
things.
I disagree with him on that, though. I disagree with him on that.
But
I don't think it should be 4 belts, but I think it should be 2 belts.
And what are the 2 that you propose?
I'm just saying, I don't care what you call them. I'm just saying 2 belts, because it's always great to see champion versus champion and unifying.
Yeah.
Now 4 is a little bit. I mean, you got 4 belts. I don't think it needs to be 4. I think if you got 2 belts and you have a championship fight, like, oh, you're gonna take my belt, I'm gonna take your belt. I always think those are big fights, and that's why I think they went to. Because I think Floyd Mayweather spoke on this before. He was like, "We didn't have this many belts. I'm not a unified. Like, I don't have the thing that they're talking about, because when we were coming up, we didn't have all these belts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We had limited belts, and so I do agree it's too many belts, but I don't think it should be just 1 belt. I think it should be 2 belts, because it's always great to see champion fight champion.
Well, what were the what were the belts you would propose?
Like I said, I don't really care what you call it, because to me it doesn't matter if it's the WBO, IBF.
But how could there be 2? But how could there be 2 champions in one weight class? Like that's the strange thing. Because remember,
Well,
Gary,
it's 4 right now.
Well, yeah, there's 4, right? But that's because these sanctioning bodies kind of stuck their nose into the sport and have created a system where they generate money for themselves by charging these fighters fees
Yeah,
to hold on
yeah,
to
it's
these
on the
belts.
fees, yeah.
I mean, but these sanctioning bodies are not necessary. They're just not,
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I like I said, if Dana White creates his own league, he can make his own belts. Like in UFC, he has the badass belt.
yeah.
The bad motherfucker or whatever it's called. I forgot it's called. He created that belt because
BMF.
belts,
Yeah, the
BMF. And because belts create attention to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, he has the BMF belt. He's the baddest motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? On the planet. Belts create, and I understand why boxing added more belts, because always championship fights, I'm gonna unify the belt. I'm gonna take your belt, and I'm gonna have my belt with me. Oh, I don't think
MMA, the numbers don't support your statement. MMA pay-per-view not selling well. They don't have a star. Sure, the gate may sell, but not the pay-per-view numbers. Jake Paul is selling better than MMA. Yeah, I'm going to have to disagree with that strongly.
I do think Jake Paul is selling better, but whatever.
Well, maybe on a pay-per-view here and there, but I mean, how often does he fight? The UFC, Gary, has an event. The UFC literally has an event.
I agree with you.
Week.
I'm just saying, I disagree with the part of Jake Paul sells more. Jake Paul sells more than regular boxers.
Jake Paul sells more once a year when he fights. Gary,
yeah. I get what you're saying. They fight often.
I'm talking about a promotion that puts on a fight almost every week and sells out the arena.
Yeah, that's different.
I mean,
yeah, I get what you're saying. I'm just saying, when Jake Paul does fight, he kind of outsells like everybody. That's why people are annoyed with him.
If Jake Paul fought every week, first off, he'd be dead. Second, nobody would tune in if he fought every week. I mean, nobody would.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like apples to oranges. It's like apples to oranges. It's not the same thing.
Yeah, and he actually has a promotional company, MVP. I mean, I would highly doubt that MVP is doing better than the UFC right
now. Well,
MVP
doesn't. The thing about MVP, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Anybody can correct me if I'm wrong. They only promote his fights, and they have fighters underneath that they promote underneath him. Right. They only have that when the fighters fight underneath him. Yeah. They don't have standalone fights, in my opinion. Like I said, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I've never seen them have a boxer with a standalone fight. They always fight underneath him to get the numbers.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you.
You know, so I mean, you're fighting underneath him. So if you don't fight underneath, you don't have a UFC has to promote fighters every like you said, a bunch of different fighters and put it. So that's apples to oranges or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And
He's saying the MMA is not selling pay-per-views. I mean, I don't know what the numbers are. Look it up. You're a lawyer, George. I will look it up. I don't know what the numbers are, but again, you're not going to sell. You know, if you're putting on an event like every week or multiple times a month, I mean, you're not going to sell what Canelo sells when he fights twice a
yeah,
year, once on Mexican Independence
yeah,
Day
yeah.
and the other on Cinco de Mayo. I mean, you're just not gonna, you know, the gate. I bet you the gate will be similar, but as far as pay-per-view sales, I mean, there's just too much going
I
on.
mean, that's like you're talking about um, Eddie Hearn and every fighter that he promotes is selling
Yeah,
crazy
yeah, yeah.
numbers.
And then
Or if
and
you're
then
talking about PBC, every fighter they have has is most of their fighters don't even fight pay-per-view though. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like most of these boxing promoters, fighters don't even fight pay-per-view
No, the
at
and
all.
boxing pay-per-view is not doing that well either. I mean,
Yeah, no, it's not.
I heard the recent pay-per-views for boxing didn't do that hot either. I heard it sounds like even that last event in Saudi Arabia didn't sell too many pay-per-views, and we thought that was the biggest card in history, Gary.
Yeah, two people pulled out on that card, and like you said, Turkey actually lowered the price. He wasn't charging
Right,
a lot for
right,
that, and it still didn't do that great.
right.
Tank Davis against Roach, even though Roach is not a big name, I think they're saying it came under 200,000.
Yeah,
So I
which
mean,
is not a huge deal either.
I mean it's tough with all the piracy. I
Yeah.
ain't gonna say if I'm a part of that or not, but
I heard and this could be wrong. I'm looking on now. The last Crescendo did 45,000 US pay-per-view buys.
that was with who?
The the
That was
the the rematch between Bivol and Beterbiev.
oh, it did 45.
45,000 is bullshit.
Yeah, that's nothing.
And the other thing
But
I
that's
wanted to
why a
say was
lot of but honestly, that's why a lot of Showtime pulled out of boxing.
yeah,
ESPN is now pulling out of boxing.
yeah.
You have a HBO pulled out of
It's
boxing.
too
A lot of these,
saturated, Gary. It's too
huh?
saturated. It's too
Yeah.
saturated is what's happening. It's way too the whole combat sports industry is too saturated. And then the other thing I wanted to say, this is another, I think, misinformation. I mean, we've disagreed on this multiple times. But people say, oh, the boxers get paid so much more. The boxers get paid so much more. Well, yeah, Canelo gets paid so much more. The guy at the top of the bill gets paid so much more. But Dana White is paying Dana White's got a roster of like 700. Last I checked, it was like 700 fighters, and a lot of them are getting paid pretty good money compared to your average boxer that's not a star.
So
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 I
I
think he
don't I
does a
don't I don't I
fantastic.
don't want to get too political here,
Yeah,
right? But what you sound like is Dana White is socialism and boxing is capitalism, right?
no,
So
no,
yeah, because the reason why I'm saying this is because boxing is capitalism. They don't like, yeah, you're right. It's some people lower level fighters who don't get paid as much.
yeah,
Dana
they don't
White
get paid.
spread.
Dude, there are guys that get paid a couple $100 to fight in
Yeah,
boxing
I'm
at the
saying
beginning.
this though. I know I have a cousin that did pro boxing and everything.
Yeah,
So the lower level boxes, but once you get to the mid tier and higher level, you start getting more. And it
yeah,
kind of and the lower level boxes or the just the people who just mid tier, they don't get as much. But when you reach the highest level, you get a whole lot of money,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
You can get a way more than MMA. But
yeah,
what Dana White has done is spread the money around. So the mid tier and the lower level gets paid more than a
yeah.
lower level in another sport.
I
So
agree.
that's why I said socialism, because that's
Yeah,
socialism kind of idea. But capitalist is like, hey, fuck you. I make as much money as I can at the top, and that's what it is. And it got to be a blended. In my opinion, it got to be a blended match of that. But because I mean, you got to kind of let a guy make as much as he can, when he can. But then also you got to kind of, to keep the sport going, you got to kind of make sure the people coming up will stay in it, because there's a lot of guys I've seen on interviews say, I thought about quitting at this point because I wasn't making enough money.
I agree. And I think I think the other thing we need to think about with Dana White is, you know, he's created these like performance institutes, and guys are allowed to use them. And, you know, I don't see anyone in boxing, Gary, building performance institutes in other countries and shit like that. Like, we could talk as much shit as we want about Dana White, you know. I'm sure he's done some shady stuff before. I think we all have.
Well, I ain't saying nothing about that.
I just when I see him like reinvesting in the sport, you know, at least for me, it seems pretty logical that the sport would grow the way it has. When, you know, anytime you open YouTube, there's something to do with UFC, dude. It's an embedded some sort of interview. You know, you got the PI. You know, they're doing so much, dude. And then they have Joe Rogan as a commentator. I mean, that was crazy too. You know what I mean?
That was a little bit of luck. I heard the interview of how Joe Rogan came on. That was a little bit of luck now.
That helps.
But I think Dana White is a very smart businessman, very smart. I think I like what he does with the UFC, and that's what I just said. It's in one perspective, it's good for us, the fans, what Dana White does. In another perspective, it's good for the independent contractor to be pigeonholed to one promotion. You want to have, it's the reason why not in America right now, like I said, not to get political, but you have, when I remember I was working for DirecTV and they tried to merge with what company? And the government said, nah, you can't do that. Because if you two merge together, the consumers have nobody else to go to, and you're going to monopolize. They stop monopolies. You know what I mean? Because it's a monopoly. And if you create a monopoly, it's nowhere else I can go to actually compete and make you drop your rate or have a competition.
Gary, you know what? I don't understand the UFC being a monopoly. I don't understand. I mean,
it is.
Gary, but it's not. He's just so much better than all the other shitty promotions. I mean, Gary, it's like if I said, okay, Gary, you're such a better wide receiver than all these other guys, and nobody wants to play with any of the other guys. They only want to play with you. Or you're so much better of a quarterback. You know, nobody wants to catch the ball from anyone else. It's like, dude, if that's the case, then why not somebody just step up and make a better company? Like, I don't understand.
Well, see, the thing is, here's the problem is that he's so far ahead of the game. Like you got to really look at it.
So let's punish him for
success. No, I didn't say punish him. I didn't listen, George. I didn't say punish him. No. I'm saying he was such and this is why I give him credit as a forward thinker, so far ahead of everybody. He created MMA thing that was successful, and he made a business. So now all the promotions that start after him have to catch up to him to get the best fighters.
But isn't that what's
so hard to catch up to him? Because he's go ahead.
But isn't that what Don King was for a while? Isn't that what Isn't that what the NFL is? And nothing can compete.
And the NFL crushes. The NFL crushes everybody who brings up another league because they're so far ahead. UFL, like, hold on, what's that league that they had?
XFL.
I remember XFL. Trump was part of it because they,
XFL.
USFL. Yeah, it was USFL. And they blamed Trump because wait. Listen. This is not a political thing or nothing. I'm saying they blamed Trump because they said they were creating a league outside of when the NFL played. And they were trying to build it up big enough because I watched the 30 for 30 on this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A documentary on this. So, and they were building the league up in the spring when NFL did not play.
Yeah.
And Trump convinced the other he convinced certain other billionaire owners, let's go against the NFL head to head. Instead of waiting your turn and building it up, he convinced them like, hey, yo, let's go and go head to head with the NFL.
Yeah.
Some people were like, nah, we're not ready. Some people were like, yeah. They went head to head with the NFL when the NFL was playing, and they lost and they got crushed and they fell off because you're so far behind the NFL. You have to really build it up.
Yeah.
And it's not even just the USFL. You had XFL, which was with
Vince
from
Vince
McMahon. You cannot go head to head with somebody who already is so established.
You can
and think you're going to.
You can. It's hard.
Win.
But you can.
Win.
It's hard, but you can. Yeah, you always can.
When do they do it though? Name me somebody who just decided to go head to head with a juggernaut that was already built and thought they were gonna win. This ain't David and Goliath.
The big Turkey Alalshikh, brother. That's who.
Turkey got more money than all of them. Turkey got more money than all of them.
Fighter Flight says you should let me on the panel. Sometimes it's not easy to make a point in text. You're always welcome. Just shoot.
Good.
What's that?
I said I'm good. I put them on.
Yeah. Fighter Flight, you're always welcome. Just message me on Instagram. I'll shoot you the link, and then we can let you in and out of here whenever you'd like. That's not a problem at all. We have Kiflam in here, says, hey, George, I got videos of my girls and I with the Shoe Shine Sugar Bomb Squad. Appreciate you doing that, Gary. I don't know if you know this, but I put a contest for $50 on whoever gives me the best shoe shine. So anybody who does the best shoe shine, you got to add us as a collaborator on Instagram and subscribe to the YouTube. And the best shoe shine, I'm going to put it all over our social media, and I'm going to send you $50. So the contest is still going on, and we're going to do weekly contests right here at FightersRep for that sort of thing, Gary. But yeah, there's a lot of people that go up against the biggest name and something and conquer it. You can't act like you're
but give me an example how often that happens.
Gary, Gary, what? What kind of example do you want me to give?
Of somebody, a company that is dominant in the field, and somebody just jumps right in and can overtake that. It's hard to overtake.
It's happened a million times, dude. Like, for example, look at the iPhone, right? Nobody gave a shit about smartphones before the iPhone, right? It was like Motorola's and bullshit.
But Gary, who's backing that though?
Gary,
AT&T.
Gary, we were walking around with goofy ass Motorola razors, texting each other with buttons, dude. Like it was.
Yeah, but yeah.
Kind of stuff happens all the time.
Yeah. No. I'm not gonna let you get away with that because
what do you mean? You just told me give an example.
They were backed by AT&T. That was a fucking big company. What are you talking about?
Oh my God, Gary. So XFL with fucking Vince McMahon money?
Vince McMahon don't got more money than the NFL.
Okay, but Apple probably didn't have as much money as Motorola at the time. I mean, you know.
You're crazy if you think Apple didn't have as much money as Motorola.
So Gary, what you're saying is it's never happened where a smaller company overcame.
I didn't say it never. I said how often does it happen?
That's insane. It happens.
No. I said how often does it happen?
Gary, companies go out of business all the time.
Yes, I asked you a question, George. I said,
Gary, the UFC. Gary, the UFC is going to go out of business. Gary, the UFC is going to go out of business one day. One day, it's going to go out of business. As is the NFL.
It's going to take a long motherfucking time for it to go out of business.
And then some other company's going to come up. That's how. But
I said how often. I never said it doesn't happen. I said how often does it happen?
Bro, it happens all the time. Look, Tesla.
So right now, I do 3-on-3 basketball league.
But wait a minute. I think Tesla became the #1 selling car at one point. Dude, you're telling me Tesla was bigger than Ford and Honda and these cars? It was not.
Tesla got government grants and funding.
So what? So did everybody else.
They had the money behind them.
Okay, Gary. Okay. I need
No,
you to Google.
but don't get me wrong. But don't
I
get me
need you
wrong
to
though.
Google this
Hey,
one. No,
hey,
I'm getting
hey,
you
no,
wrong.
no,
I
wait.
am getting you
Hold
wrong.
on, wait.
No,
Give
I
me a
want to
second.
get you wrong.
Give me a second. Hold on.
Gary.
Hold on. Wait.
Gary.
Let me say this.
What
Let me
about
say this.
Honda and
Hold
Toyota?
on.
Ford was the first
Wait.
car. Ford
Wait.
was the first car.
Yeah, it was.
Toyota.
Hold on, wait.
Honda.
Hold on,
Dodge,
wait. Goddamn.
Chevrolet.
Goddamn. Let me finish. I will say this about Tesla though. They were
Because they got government grants. Bro, you sound like you're fucking. I'm sending you to CNN right now after this interview.
I don't even watch that shit. What I'm saying is, I don't watch none of that shit. What I'm saying is, you did get money poured into it. But not only that is what I'm gonna say is Tesla right now. You're proving my point with Tesla right now.
XFL
Tesla
got
was
money poured into it.
Hold on, wait. You prove my point with Tesla right now. Tesla was the first company to go big with electric cars, right?
Okay.
So now everybody else is because I'm gonna be real. Now everybody else, Honda, all these other companies are trying to create their own electrical cars.
Yeah.
Do you think they're gonna overtake Tesla?
They could.
They could, but do you think they will? Tesla is the standard for that right now. I didn't even know about these. I'll be honest with you. When my friend was telling me about it, he was like, "You get a Tesla." I'm like, "Man, how much that shit cost?"
Yeah.
No, he was saying you get an electrical car. That's what he told me. I said, "Man, Tesla, how much that shit cost?" He was like, "Well, Honda makes them." I'm like, "Oh, they do?" I didn't even know they fucking made it. They were other companies making electric cars now.
Gary,
I don't even know. I just think Tesla is embedded in my head when I think about electrical cars.
When Kmart was the shit, did we think Target was going to come along and be the shit? We didn't think that.
Target did not stop Kmart, though.
Bro.
Amazon did. Amazon stopped Target, Kmart, all these motherfuckers.
Amazon is a fantastic example. That guy started in his garage, Gary, with Amazon.
And it's a different lane.
Gary, he took over. Thank you for providing me with the best example yet. This is the guy who was in his garage, dude, and just took over the entire retail world, man.
Because he came with a different idea. That's what I'm saying with MMA. It was something different. So now imagine another company.
What if someone does something different in MMA?
Hold on. Imagine Team U overtaking Amazon.
Gary, what if somebody
Team U is getting bigger. It will never overtake Amazon because he came up with the idea first.
Gary, what if somebody came up with something different in MMA, right? And then they blew the UFC out of the water. It could happen.
What if somebody came with kickboxing that no grappling? And they can kickbox, George.
I did that. I got sick and tired
of it. But they quit. They quit. I got it.
It was for my own sanity.
I'm just saying that was the go-to because people complain about MMA, that is wrestling. Now, what if somebody comes with the idea of kickboxing?
Well, look,
that can overtake that.
You know what's come up pretty fast, Gary? Bare knuckle. Bare knuckle has come up lightning.
Exactly. It's a different thing, man.
Yeah.
It's different, and if you are the person that has the insight to go forward, it's the reason why Apple is so big because they came with smartphones first.
Yeah, it was an iPhone.
Yeah, they jumped. Now, obviously, you got Android trying to compete with it, and Android has gotten big itself.
Yeah.
But it's hard to. It's almost like it's looked down upon you that you got an Android instead of an iPhone.
Be careful with that. I got an Android.
I have an Android. I love Android.
Team Android.
I'm just saying it's hard to when somebody Dana White is the one that made MMA popular.
Yeah.
Period. So now you're trying to overtake the king?
Yeah.
You come from the king. In boxing, you got to beat the champ, bro. You got to really beat the champ to get the belt. It's tougher.
Yeah. But
it ain't a regular fight.
Bro, I'm telling you, it could happen, bro. It could happen.
It could.
And that's why I don't. That's why I don't buy into that monopoly. But I mean, the only way there's an actual monopoly, right, is if you buy up everything and you block out everybody from getting into that
But
industry.
that's what they do.
Not really though, Gary. I could start. I had an MMA promotion. Anyone could start an MMA promotion, and you get a
Well,
little
I'll
bit
put
of
it to you like this. Right now, I live in Florida. FP&L is the light company. Where
yeah,
else am I gonna go for lights? I don't really have another choice.
yeah,
George.
yeah, yeah.
So when they raise the price, what am I gonna do? Is go
Well,
somewhere else?
I'm
I
not
have
sure
no
how.
other choice.
I'm not sure how Florida Power and Lights is. That might be
They're
like
contracted with
yeah, with the
with
government or something like
yeah.
that. Yeah, I don't think it's impossible for maybe someone else to at some point outbid them or something like that. But I think the UFC is different, right? Like I told you before, Fighters Rep became a kickboxing promotion. It was an MMA promotion, and if I would have had Saudi money behind me, I would have made it. I would have gave
Yeah,
Dana White a run for his
yeah.
money. Let me tell you. So
That's my point.
yeah, yeah. So and even if somebody, Gary, even if somebody sits there and really works hard on it and uses creativity and comes up with something different and gets a big following, I think anybody can be dislodged. And you don't even need to dislodge the person. Like you mentioned about Android and iOS, they exist simultaneously and they're both very successful. There's enough money, in my opinion, in the market for it to
Yeah.
go around. It's just you have to do it properly, right? You have ONE FC in Asia. It's like the biggest MMA promotion in Asia, right? I think they were losing money for a long time, and I think they're projected to finally make some money this year or something like that. I'm not sure exactly the numbers, but I heard they were losing money. But at some point, if they turn a profit with the population you have in Asia, Gary, I mean, there's over 1 billion people in China, over 1 billion people in India. At some point, that could be a real powerhouse. It already is, but that could be a real powerhouse at some point, Gary. That could maybe one day be as big or bigger than the UFC.
Well,
Maybe.
here's my thing is this is what, and I don't want to get too much in our personal conversations,
It's good. It's fine.
but I know when you're doing a kickboxing promotion and things of this nature and it's things this, that, and the third. This is what my whole thing was, is that I listen to Dana White interviews. I listen to other guys. I watched the McMahon interview, not interview, but it's the whole series that he had. It was great.
Yeah,
You need to watch it if you ain't watch it.
I need to check
But
it out.
with WWE and him and his promotion with that,
Yeah.
the trials and tribulations that they go through, and before you see them blow up, and that's what I'm saying with. That's what I was telling you, kind of like, man, it's a headache if you can stick it out
Don't
and
try to
deal with the
motivate me.
headache.
I don't want to stick it out,
No,
Gary. I
no,
don't
I'm
want
not
to
trying to
stick it out.
motivate you. I'm just saying we had conversations,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
and the thing is that that's the type of thing that a lot of people get deterred from, because it's like you have to deal with a lot of BS, a lot of bullshit,
Oh yeah.
and things of that nature. So
Yeah.
that's all I'm saying is when you have a backer like Turki Alalshikh, because I think Dana White, he said before he's tried to start in the boxing promotion world at first, and
Yeah.
then he moved to MMA and things of that nature. And he also talked about building that up and things that he had to go through, building that up.
Yeah.
And so once he did build that up, I mean, like I'm just saying, when you get somebody so dominant in one field, it's and they lock up, like Turkey has the money to lock up all the top boxers.
Yeah.
And so then if you're a boxer that's not in that league, how do you get the best fights? How?
Well,
He
that's
has
the
all
case
the, and
already. That's the
Dana
case
White is not going
already,
to let you
dude.
cross over.
Dude, that's the case already. Freaking Terrence Crawford. It took us 10 years for the public to really appreciate what he was. Stuff me and you knew
But
about
he
Terrence
fought.
Crawford.
I think the public didn't
Well,
appreciate Terrence
actually,
Crawford.
you didn't know he was as good as he was because you picked Errol Spence to beat him. But me,
No, no,
I
no, no, no,
knew
no,
how
no. Don't
good
do
he
that.
was. And I said, just let my boy cook. Just let him cook.
Hey, no. We're not going to do that. I said it was a 50-50 fight. I said if it goes a distance, Errol Spence. If it's a knockout, Terrence Crawford. I did pick Errol Spence by a slight chance, but you got to think, Bud fought Kel Brooks. I picked Bud. Bud fought Sean Porter. I
Yeah,
picked Bud.
yeah.
Bud fought the fans weren't giving him credit for who he was fighting and beating. He
Yeah,
fought Gamboa when Gamboa was undefeated.
yeah. My
You know what
point
I'm
though
saying?
is,
And
my point though
Ngannou,
is,
what's his name? Ngannou, he was undefeated. He
my
ripped him.
my point is, they froze him out because of his promoter for a very long time. They froze him out.
Only Errol Spence. Who else froze him out?
He wasn't allowed to fight any of the welterweights who were all at PBC. Gary, Keith Thurman. How long did the Sean Porter fight take to make? And Sean Porter doesn't duck any smoke. You had
But they made it.
yeah, eventually. But who else did he fight? Dude, they had a bunch of welterweights and Danny Garcia. Like all these guys could have fought and they didn't fight.
But I also think that was on the fighters too, because anytime the fighters, because Errol Spence made the fight happen between him and Bud because he made it happen. Yeah. He made it happen, regardless of whoever your promoter is. Errol Spence said, "Hey, this is the fight I want. This is what I want."
Yeah.
I don't think Danny Garcia wanted to fight Bud. In my opinion, I don't really think he wanted to fight Bud. Now you had Kel Brooks who said, "Let's fight," and he fought and he beat Kel Brooks.
Yeah.
You had what's his name that fought Pacquiao that got the win, which was a robbery. The from overseas, what's his name?
Oh, Horn? Jeff Horn?
Yeah, Horn. He fought him. Hey, what you call it? Terrence Crawford fought him, whooped his ass. You know what I'm saying? So Terrence Crawford did fight people. We just discredit those people as they weren't who we thought they were.
Right.
But he fought those Benavidez, the older Benavidez.
That was a great fight. That was a good
fight. That was a tough fight.
If that guy had 2 legs, I would have loved to see that guy fight other people with 2 legs to see how good he really was.
Yeah. He got shot in the leg and all that. So it was
because that fight he gave Crawford was a hell of a fight, even on 1 leg.
It was a good fight until Crawford caught him in the 11th.
Yeah. I could only imagine what that kid would have looked like had he been more focused, not messed his leg up. And if they would have let him fight some of the other welterweights, I would have loved to see like what he could have done. But anyway.
Yeah. So I'm saying if we kind of look at Terrence Crawford and say he fought some good fighters, man.
Yeah, no, me and you again, me more than you, but we both understand.
You're so fucking petty, dog. You petty.
But anyway, man, listen, we've been on here almost an hour. We appreciate everybody joining us. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, join the channel, add us on Instagram, ignorant_behavior, and me, FightersRep Fez. We're going to see you guys live after all the big fights. Nothing big going on this weekend, but after all the big fights, we're going to go live and every Tuesday at between 6 and 7 p.m. Pacific. That's 9 and 10 p.m. Eastern. Gary, anything else you want to tell these people?
Hey, man, I appreciate all you coming to watch us. Hey, I missed you last week, but I'm here. Fight or flight. We gonna get you on here.
We're gonna fight.
You got a lot to say. We gotta get you on here.
All right, Gary. Have a good one, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Yeah.